Kenya, police have been arresting people taking part in protests against plans by the government there to introduce higher taxes. The new bill would see many people having to pay money to government, to pay more money to government. Over 200 people have been arrested. Amnesty International is now criticising the way officers have been handling these protests. Irungu Houghton is the Amnesty International Executive Director in Kenya. Irungu, good afternoon to you. How would you describe the way in which police in Kenya have been managing these protests?
Well, the protests today have taken place in several counties and cities across the country. Perhaps the biggest of the demonstrations have taken place in Nairobi, where the National Assembly is currently discussing and debating the budget and the taxation bill. It is probably the most controversial taxation bill that Kenya has ever seen. We've been very concerned by the use of lethal force in some cases. We've seen evidence of spent cartridges, which means that live bullets are being used. But at the moment, we have about 200 people who have been treated because of injuries from rubber bullets, or they were hit by cars as they were trying to flee from the police, or they have severe injuries. We have at least 20 confirmed arrests throughout the country. So this is a very tense moment for Kenya.
Could the police be doing this in a different way? I mean, as you say, these are very big protests, very controversial issue. Tax usually is. Could the police be taking a slightly softer approach, do you think?
I mean, comparatively to what we saw on Tuesday, we have seen a lot more restraint, given the numbers that are now on the streets of Nairobi and other towns. On Nairobi, on Tuesday, we saw about almost close to 400 people arrested in mass arrests over a period of 8 hours. And there were so many people in the police stations that the police stations did not have the capacity even to feed them, much less process them or charge them. So of the 400 that were arrested, there were actually no cases that proceeded to prosecution. And we are now going towards nightfall. There are major concerns that people may get hurt if we don't see, continued restraint. At the moment, the police are simply cordoning off the National Assembly, where the debate is underway. We are into the second reading of the budget. And on the second reading, we have probably 2 MPs for every 1 that have voted in favor of the bill. So we are actually waiting to see what will happen once the National Assembly concludes its debate, and how the protesters will react to what is probably the most unpopular bill that we've ever seen.
In South Africa, it's entirely legal to have a protest. You go to the police, they have to give you permission. We have a Gatherings Act. Many people have become very aware of our Gatherings Act. Is it the same in Kenya? You have the right to hold a protest. The people are there legally?
Yes, the Constitution of Kenya, Article 37, basically gives the freedom and the right of all citizens and all persons to assemble, to picket, to demonstrate. And this is a classic public affairs issue. It is an issue that affects millions of people. The fiscal taxes and the levies that were proposed in the initial draft of the bill were considered to be very harsh and punitive. And what is interesting is that even prior to the debate of the bill today and the budget and the taxation provisions, many of the most controversial clauses have been removed. But still, the protesters are saying that it has not gone far enough, and they want to see the entire taxation bill revoked. But yes, protesters are protected under Kenyan law to be able to protest.
Irungu Houghton, thank you, Executive Director for Amnesty International in Kenya. Do appreciate the time.